Okay, I guess. So I'm going to be talking about crowdsourcing and the frontier, two projects I worked on out of 4. So I've been jumping around a lot. And I want to talk about these projects, but I also want to talk about the impact that kind of working on digital humanities in here has had on me. And there's an update. Thank you. And how that's kind of shaped like how I think about these things and how I think about art and computer science and how we can mix. So I'll start with crowdsourcing. I'm going to give an overview of how I'm going to approach it. I'm going to describe the topic of it, talk about the work I did, and then talk about what I find is the significance and the impact of this project. So first, the description. So this project, headed by Sarah, is about how the Oxford English Dictionary is really this first project in crowdsourcing. So how it worked was so the Oxford English Dictionary is a diachronic dictionary, which means it has words across time and how they were defined across time. And so how they collected their data was they had people send in these slips that had a word and a citation, and that was like processed and then put into the dictionary if it met requirements. So my work was looking at the citations and how many occurrences they had. So I had to look through the website and try to find that. So this is a more digital or a less digital version of what I've been doing. And now I want to talk about kind of the significance, or at least what I find the significance to be, which is the idea that language is a very, very historical thing, and often we forget that. There's like the idiom, and then there's this idiom which is like history is written by the winners, and I think the Oxford English Dictionary really challenges this notion, and I think it does it because it is a crowdsourcing project. So it manages to get information about words from all these different variety of people, and that makes it kind of significant and more powerful of the project. So now I'm going to talk about the frontier quickly. So I'm going to overview quickly. I'm going to talk about the description first, then what I did on the project, and then the significance and impact. So for the description of the project, there were these number of letters of correspondences between kind of the main people who worked in the American Fur Company and people who were going out and actually doing the work. And my job was to kind of document these correspondences and try to do like an analysis of where they went and who talked to who and how far these correspondences occurred over time. So what I did, it's funny for some reason, but I used regexes, which are basically these fundamental puzzle things where you can select a specific part of something. So I used that to get like all the information from a huge document of letters, like who it was from, who it was to, where it was sent from, and all of that. So this is what I ended up getting. I used Palladio, and I mapped kind of where the correspondence went, where the correspondences were from and to, and then I mapped it across time. And the size of the bubble like indicates how much came from that location. So I'm just going basically in fall, winter, spring in those kind of chunks. And I think the most interesting thing I found is kind of how, one, the network really fills in, which is expected because you get more and more data. But also you have like this very centralized location, which is St. Louis, which is kind of like the heart of the American Fur Company. And then I want to talk about the impact. So I think the impact for this project is kind of first, this is like the first major American corporation that kind of jump-started this like fascination of America and like corporations and the development of the American economy. And second, it inspired like this fascination for the frontier that is so fundamental to like America and the development of America and where we went from there. So now I want to briefly talk about some like inadvertent encounters I made on these projects. First, well, like going through the Oxford English Dictionary, I found the word plebify, which I found to be an amazing word that I'm going to use in my next story. And it basically means to make or render plebeian. It's a rare word and very strange. And then I found a book which was a cursory history of swearing, whose title is Utter Brilliance. And now I want to talk about kind of how working here has shaped my mindset. So this past weekend, I actually ended up working on like a small project of my own, inspired by kind of the work that's done here. And I can pull it up. Basically what I did was I was interested in lyrics for songs from like 1960s or 1950s to now, and I wanted to see if the lyrics could be used to like, or would follow a trend for certain words that matched like cultural movements. So I'm just gonna pull it up quickly. So like, for example, looking at, so this is from the top 100 songs from like 1953 to 2014, and the word peace and how basically frequently it gets used. I didn't find anything interesting, but it was fun to work on. Another project, and I know that most of them yeah. But yeah, it's just, working here is like really sparked a fascination in me, and like how I can look at all these different fields in like different ways, and like how I can do more with art. And so I really enjoyed it. And thank you guys.